My name is Aloha. I am a PhD student from Queensland University of Technology, Brisbane, Australia. In behalf of my supervisors and my co-authors, Margot Brereton, Alessandro Soro, and Paul Rowe, we present to you our study of augmented objects, that is, physical objects with ICT capabilities that were used in the home for a long period of time. Our study is entitled Technology Individuation, the Foibles of Augmented Everyday Objects. Do you remember your first car? Over the years, did you do some modifications? People often personalize their cars, from simple aesthetic modifications to complex and expensive engine changes. And the trips taken in the car with family and friends imbue memories that reveal particular foibles to the car itself. We argue that these modifications and emotional attachments are part of a process that aims at shaping the technology to reflect one's self-identity and correspondingly shape one's self-identity in response to the technology that one uses. We present the concept of technology individuation and explore its role and design. It is the phenomenon of how a person's use of a technology over time leads to development of unique meanings and emotional significance, which is dependent upon how well the technology meshes with a person's self-identity, how it fit for a given purpose, and what arrangements have been made to accommodate it in the person's life, and the effort and time spent in sustaining its usage. We articulate this concept as a critical vantage point for designing augmented everyday objects and the Internet of Things. Each physical object is unique, as it occupies physical place and wears over time with use. We highlight the importance of the way that we make places for objects in our lives and the way that they contribute to forming our habits, supporting our agency, and representing our values. We illustrate the concept of technology individuation through two case studies from literature and through one longitudinal case study of the usage of an augmented object. First, let me present the three technology in the case studies that help us unpack technology individuation. The first technology is Brown et al.'s whereabouts clock. It is a mantle clock-like device that visualizes the real-time location of family members in relation to the GPS location of their mobile phones. The family member registers a specific location, be it work, school, or home. These are the regions of the clock interface. When a family member moves, the clock chimes. That may also, and aside from that, they may also send short messages to the clock itself. Brown and colleagues trialed the clock with 5 families, which lasted between 4 to 9 weeks. The second technology is the emergency care pendant. This is an alarm system that lets independent living older adults send an emergency call by pressing the button in their pendant or the button in the terminal hub connected to the home telephone line. Gomez discussed the little arrangement that people made in the way they use this wearable device in relation to their character, beliefs, and outlook in life. Gomez interviewed long-term telecare system users of 1 year to 3 years. The third technology is the messaging kettle, presented by Brereton and colleagues. It is an ambient device designed to connect 2 distant persons over the routine of boiling the kettle to make tea. The messaging kettle augments the user's existing kettle through the kettle mate that senses the kettle temperature. It also has a smart tea box that embeds messaging and networking. They come in connected pairs of 2 kettle mates and 2 tea boxes. The kettle mate glows when the remote person's kettle is hot, as you can see in the video. Also, handwritten messages can be exchanged through the smart tea boxes. There are far too many technologies that are aimed at monitoring people, leaving one party with a passive role as being the monitored subject. Instead of monitoring, the messaging kettle fosters engagement and reciprocity for both parties. The messaging kettle is an ongoing trial study of pairs of mother and daughter, with the longest trial running for almost 2 years. Given the tangibility of the technology in the case studies, We then frame our discussion based upon Hornecker and Buur's tangible interaction framework. This is a canonical framework that encompasses aspects of tangible and social interaction. The framework is explained in 4 themes: tangible manipulation, spatial interaction, embodied facilitation, and expressive representation. Hornecker and Buur examined use of tangibles, focusing on collaboration, set up in public spaces or museum exhibits, and it is in short-term studies. We found these properties in our case studies. However, because our studies occurred over a long period of time and in an intimate setting such as the home, we highlighted other key properties which capture aspects of tangible interactions with individuated technology. In the interest of time, I will directly present these aspects of individuation and provide 1 or 2 examples of each. Our findings reveal characteristics or aspects of technology individuation. They are unique in purpose, they are personal and intimate, they are orchestrated, arranged in a place and time, and its use is sustained over time. These aspects are consistent in all case studies, and the details of our analysis per case studies are in the paper for those who are interested. So first, let me present the first aspect, which is technology individuation, is that it develops unique purpose. So in the case of the whereabouts clock, the families put different meanings and purpose to the clock regions. For example, to one family, the retired mother's icon in the work region in a specific time of the day means that she is gardening. As for the retired father, the work region indicates he is using the computer, which is actually located in the home. The father registers and re-registers his location to home and work as he switches activities from watching TV to using the computer. For this case, location labels are individuated to represent parental identity, at the same time showing the rhythm of the family's routine, which is only known and unique to that particular family. The second aspect of individuated technology is that it is personal and intimate. For instance, the messaging kettle's straightforward and simple aesthetics evoke memories and gave special meaning to its users. The fact that the exchanges are handwritten, the messages are personalized every time. The ambient glowing light became special, for it is not just a glow of light, but it's the ambient presence of someone special to them. The interaction with technology carries deep personal emotions and meanings. The glow creates feeling of intimacy, yearning, and even longing. The third aspect is orchestrated, arranged in place and time. Orchestration refers to how people arrange and rearrange their physical environment in order to use technology and how they adjust their social dynamics to accommodate that usage. Technologies become enmeshed to a specific place of habitual use. So in order to accommodate the messaging kettle in a small kitchen, a place had to be made which involved allocating countertop space, finding sockets for the kettle mate and the tea box, rearranging already placed objects, and adopting new practices like reading and sending messages during tea time. Similarly, one user of the emergency alarm system adopted a clothes peg as a visual reminder that it was time for him to reset the button on the transmitter to inform the system that he was okay for that day. Also, some users of the pendant simply don't want to wear it around their neck. One user sported the pendant as a brooch, asserting her self-identity as being capable. Another user hung up her pendant in a crucifix near her bedside, reflecting her belief in a higher being, at the same time also being aware of her mortality. This shows that people decide for themselves to what works for them in their own terms and what is meaningful to them. They assert control over the technology, they have the power to use it, or not at all. This leads me to the last aspect of individuated technology. Its use is sustained over time. There is effort and conscious attention attention of its use in the everyday. In the case of the messaging kettle, one user claimed that the use of the messaging kettle has endured for almost 2 years. It's because the messaging kettle and the tea box constantly reminds them of each other and reminds them to communicate while making it very easy to do so. Technology is used when it provides value, but its use needs sustaining through its owner's efforts, which includes controlling their participation, data, content sharing, and identity. So why does this matter? Why does technology individuation matter? Before I answer that, let me first define Internet of Things. So the Internet of Things is the notion of equipping all objects with Internet-accessible identification and data sharing capabilities and reasoning over data. This is at Soro et al.'s useful and widely adopted technical framework of the Internet of Things paradigm. Here, we see Internet of Things at the intersection of things, Internet, and semantic-oriented visions. This paradigm is a technical perspective that envisages the role of people in the IoT as passive. They are being automated around. How about human experience? There's an emergent call for finding the people in the IoT. Soro and colleague modified the model in order to fully include people in the Internet of Things, replacing semantic with people, since it is the people who largely make sense of unutilized things. Soro and colleague argue that this modified version provides a more complete account of the current research issues and the design opportunities for smart communication objects. The concept of technology individuation is one effort of foregrounding people in the design of IoT. So the design of Internet of Things is largely focused on automation, and it is important to bear in mind that user agency and product intelligibility are just as important. User experience in social and domestic settings needs to be realistic and move beyond idealized scenarios, as we see depicted in many product videos that envision the future. Technology individuation can leverage design of augmented object and Internet of Things to enable greater specificity, expression, and agency. So in conclusion, technology is embedded in relations. Technology individuation develops through use over time, shaped by the experience with the technology. Technology is effective when human agency is foregrounded, when people have control and make arrangements that suit them, when interaction has unique meanings, and when people make those meanings for themselves. I would like to thank the Australian Research Council, the participants, the reviewers, the researchers on whose prior work we build, and to all of you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the great talk, Aloha. And do we have questions? Yes. And please, when you ask a question, please state your name and where you're from.
Thank you for the talk. So
please state your name and where you're from.
I'm Catherine Letondal from EDAC, Toulouse in France. I know another definition of technological individuation. It's from a philosopher called Gilbert Simondon. Have you heard about him?
So actually, he's a philosopher, but the individuation came from here. Yes, but yeah, the term individuation is about a person's development of realizing his true self over time. So we adapted the term as to paired with the technology.
His concept is applied to technology. Yeah. And it relies on the concept of individuation in philosophy, which is how being come into the world.
Pardon?
It relies on the concept of individuation.
Yes.
Which is how being
a person, yeah.
No, not person, being any being, even things and technical things. So that was.
So yeah, so this, the same concept in a way, but in a more specific context, which is technology.
Which is also the case with Gilbert Simondon. It's about technology as well. I can give you the reference if you like.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And do we have any other questions in the audience? Question 1, question 2. Okay, I take it. So along those lines of what we just talked